Hello, I'm Scott Schmitz, and today for my persuasive speech, I will be going over should genetically modified food be sold in grocery stores? Do they help more than they hurt? I'm going to be going over what are GMOs, pro-GMO points, anti-GMO points, pros versus cons of GMOs, and my closing thoughts on the matter. GMOs are genetically modified organisms, are organisms that are genetically modified to make them better in many ways. But in this presentation, I will be specifically talking about genetically modified plant products. Pro-GMO points include longer shelf life, can be sold year-round, better value for the producer, and better value for the consumer. GMO food shelf life is significantly increased than their non-GMO counterparts. Examples of this include bananas, which have an increased shelf life of 6 to 7 days compared to their non-GMO counterparts, and GMO tomatoes that have 3 times the shelf life, from 15 days to over 45 days. And this is from globalengage.com. Another point is that they can be sold year-round. GMO foods also make it much easier to produce year-round to meet demand for crops that would normally only be able to be sold for certain times of the year. This is very helpful to restaurants and any type of food industry that wants to have a menu that is consistent for the entire year. Better food value for the producer. The process of growing and shipping the food becomes much easier when the foods are GMO. The yield of the food that grows increase not only from the size of the number of fruits or vegetables from any single plant, but also the size of the fruit that the plant produces. And again, the shelf life of the products also positively affects the producer because they don't have to constantly be cycling all of their food products. And this is from science.org where it was cited. Better value for the consumer. GMO foods lasting longer gives more value to the consumer by allowing them to have less trips to the store because of food rotting or decaying on their shelves whenever they've bought it and they don't want to use it yet. GMO food also allows consumers to get more value for their money by having most products being bigger than their non-GMO counterparts. Anti-GMO points include environmental effects, health effects on people, natural flavor, and taste. Environmental effects of GMOs products damage the environment with the chemicals that are consumed to both grow the crops and protect them from insects. The reason why this point is not as important or invalid is because that non-GMO crops need the same amount of chemicals to protect them, if not more than the GMO crops, because of the greater amount of decays or goes bad whenever it is still being grown. So GMO crops are in fact better for the environment. And this is from montana.edu where I cited it. Health effects on people. Many people fear that modified food will have major impacts on their health, from developing allergic reactions to developing some types of cancer. Many tests and studies, however, have shown that genetically modified food has no effect on the health of people, from studies on single sets of people to studying its effects on people over the course of generations. And this is actually from harvard.edu where I cited this source. Natural flavor and taste. Many people claim that the natural taste of non-GMO food tastes better. This claim is not backed by fact on the matter, but GMO foods also have added sweeteners within them along with additional chemicals to make them not only taste better, but overall a better choice than the non-GMO fruit. GMO products have more nutritional value because of the chemicals that we put in it, so everyone can have a more balanced diet and it can be a cheaper alternative. And this is cited from the scientificamerican.com. So going over it again, the pros versus cons of GMO foods is pros include longer shelf life, can be sold year-round, better value for the producer, and better value for the consumer. The cons is environmental effects, which have been proven to be minimal, even more so that non-GMOs have more of an environmental effect. Health effects on people, which has been shown to be false through tons of studies that people have done. And the natural flavor and taste, which is not backed by any fact or evidence. And GMOs do have artificial sweeteners and nutritions that are put into them to actually make them better than normal fruits. So my closing thoughts on the matter is that overall, I believe that GMO foods are very important to the economy and that the food industry, and that there is no actual negative side of the GMOs. GMO food helps more than they hurt, definitely. If I were to leave you with one piece of information from this speech, I want you to remember that while GMOs sound scary, they improve the quality of life of everyone that is directly involved of the production and consumption of the product. So my sources came from Purdue University, Global Engage, Science, and if I continue this, Montana State University, Science in the News, and Scientific American. And they all pointed out that while they do have some drawbacks, they have been proven over time that is not that much and that they help way more than they actually hurt. Thank you for listening.